When you're looking to purchase your first or your next home, it's tough being on the outside looking in, especially when it comes to the numbers and if the short term and the long term makes sense. So I'm sure you've heard the term by now, date the rate, marry the home. That was flying around out there for quite some time. And this is going to break down exactly what we were talking about, which I haven't seen a presentation on it. So I wanted to put it together to unpack the benefits of buying a home. Now, first, if you are my family member, brother, or sister, I'd be screaming at you right now to please buy a home. It is November in 2024. Rates are elevated. The election is finally over, thank God. And we really don't know when rates will start on their downward trajectory, but we're hearing and thinking about 18 to 24 months. So I want to unpack what an 18-month run would look like buying now and just how far ahead of the curve you will end up being in as little as 18 to 24 months. So buy now versus waiting. This is at a purchase price as of today of 650,000, conventional loan, 10% down, but this is going to pencil out in your favor no matter what type of financing it is, just being that you're getting ahead of the curve with a higher purchase price and rates coming down in this estimate 18 months. So your down payment with 10% down would obviously be 65,000, and your loan as of today would be a balance of 585,000. On the right side is if you wait to buy in 18 months. So this is assuming an appreciation rate of 5%, which is absolutely realistic. We're anywhere between 4.875 to 6.5% year over year appreciation rate now over the last couple years because of the limited inventory. So the sales price in 18 months at a 5% appreciation clip would be 698,000 for the exact same home you can get today for 650,000. Same 10% down conventional loan, the down payment of 10%, and your base loan amount would be higher than if you bought today with the same 10% down payment. So looking at the factors on this, the PMI, you'd be at 0.25% annually, which is where you can see at the bottom here, 121 and 88 cents a month, assuming regular property taxes of 1.25% annually, which is kind of the give or take rule of thumb here, assuming no Melrose. If you bought today, though, the rate's going to be elevated. We're going to do 6.75. And if you wait to buy at 5.25 in 18 months, what that payment would be. Now, down here is where everybody stops. This is where the brakes get applied when you're looking at purchasing a home, because your payment today on the home would be $47.68 and 26 cents versus if you wait 45.01 and 91 cents. But this is very deceptive. That's why on these coming pages I'm going to break down why this is going to benefit you way more than waiting ever will. So on the right side here, the payment difference between these two is $266.36 per month over the year, and the 18-month run we're going to look at is $47.94. So about $4,800 out of pocket more based on this higher rate buying today. So digging into this a little bit further, if we're looking at just the down payment, 10% out of pocket versus 10% out of pocket, you're going to save $4,800 out of pocket with a lower down payment buying that exact same home at the lower price point. And in 18 months at a 5% appreciation rate, you're going to have $48,000 in home equity, which does not suck. But let's take a look at in 18 months when you go to refinance. Now, this number here, I want to point out, if we look at the amortization schedule, this new loan amount is the payoff of that original loan plus $5,000. So I'm actually accounting for the refinance costs that you're rolling into the loan, and it's not coming out of pocket. And in 18 months, let's assume a 5.25 interest rate. Same thing for if you wait to buy that home, your loan amount is going to be much higher at the same interest rate. You're going to have 10% equity, which is loan to value, 10% equity in the home versus 83, 84%. Now, if values start kicking up like we expect they will once rates come down and demand comes flooding back into market, you might actually be below 80%, have 20% equity, and you won't have PMI at all. So that this could be a little bit better at the end of the day. So just looking at it apples to apples, your mortgage insurance, it goes in buckets of 5%. So if you're with 15% or greater equity, your PMI factor annually is going to be lower than if you wait to buy with 10% down. Again, same property tax rate, but take a look at your payment now. When you refinance, you'll be down to 41.27 and 58 cents versus that 45.01 that looked pretty good on the previous page. Monthly, you'd be saving $374 and some change, and in the first 5 years you're going to be about 22,500 ahead of the game and continuing to grow. But this number right here, these savings, are accounting and assuming the $5,000 as an out-of-pocket cost, but it's actually rolled into the loan. So your savings are going to be actually much better when we tie this all together at the end. So hang in there. We'll tie it together on the last page here. So your break even. So when I buy anything, that's what I want to know. What I'm putting down out of pocket. When am I going to break even on my ROI, and how much over the life of owning that product am I going to be ahead of the game, if that's going to make me a better decision to do it today or to wait. So your hard pocket out of costs with the higher payment that we saw on page 1, you're going to be that $47.94. So let's call it $4,800. Your refinance cost, which we just discussed on the previous page, we're going to roll in $5,000. So this technically isn't out of pocket, but we're accounting for it because we're getting real granular here. The savings on the down payment on the first page of $4,800 as of buying today versus waiting. So if you buy today, you're saving $4,800 on the down payment alone. So that puts us about $5,000 out of pocket all in. But again, that's assuming the $5,000 is an out of pocket cost when it's not. So if we're looking at the ROI, in 18 months, our hard costs are going to be the $49.94. We're going to have $374 a month in savings on top of that moving forward after the refinance. So your ROI break even after the refinance would be 13 months. So essentially, you'd be about 41 months in, and you're going to break even, and now you're cash flow positive versus waiting. And then these ROIs after you break even in the first 5 years, if you're accounting for that $5,000 out of pocket, but it's really rolled into the refinance on the new loan, so it's not out of pocket, you'd still cash flow about $11,000 in the first 5 years, $33,000 in 10 years, and so on. It grows. So let's tie this all together just so you can really see what the benefits and opportunities and savings are by buying today. So what a lot of people don't get to see is the benefits and opportunity in this market. You're going to have less competition. So you're competing against 3 to 5 offers versus when rates come down, the market gets flooded with demand. We got 2.5, 3 years of pent up demand of people just waiting for the rates to come down. But God's honest truth, if you're my family member, I'm going to tell you, you're missing the boat, because when the rates do come down and the demand floods back into the market, we're sitting on historically low inventory. It'll free up a little bit, but it's not going to be like it was. The Fed's got us into a hell of a pickle. So when the demand does come back to market, now you're going against 10 to 20 offers. So you're going to have more opportunity from the seller to get some or all of your closing costs covered today. And that could be 5,000, 15, 18, 20,000. That's a substantial amount of money that you're leaving on the table, not buying today, and having the opportunity to ask for that just because you're going up against minimal on the competition side. Your down payment and savings, like we looked at on the pages before, based on 5% down annual appreciation, putting the same 10% down, your out of pocket's only $4,800 by waiting to buy. Or should I say you're saving $4,800 by buying today versus waiting on the exact same home, putting 10% down. Accelerated equity, what I mean by this is when rates do come down, the competition increases. When the competition increases, the higher offers are placed just to win the home. So back in 2020, we saw people submitting 15 to 30,000 over ask price on their initial offer. The seller comes back with a multiple counter offer saying, hey, all 5 of you guys give us your highest and best. So now you're already 25 to 30 over, and you're going to be going even higher. That's what I mean by that. So the higher sales prices will get recorded. So if you're offering on a $500,000 home and it ends up closing at 530, well, John down the street, who's got the exact same home in the same neighborhood, is going to say, hey, they just sold at 530. Let's place ours at 530. And now those people that are gunning for that property are going to place offers at 540, 550. It'll close at a higher clip, and so on. It's going to build, and you're going to have to pay even more for that property just to get your offer accepted. So the value of your home will increase more than the estimated 5%. So even at 5%, you're gaining 48,000 in equity in as little as 18 months on this chart and assumption. However, when rates do come down, if rates come down in 12 months, the next 6 months, you're going to see the run up in the values, kind of like we were talking about with higher offers being placed when there's more competition. The monthly payment. So you got to look past the initial payment to see the long-term savings. So when you do refinance, this section here, we're taking out that 5,000 we assumed you rolled in. So you're going to actually recoup your out-of-pocket costs in 2 months if we don't account for that 5,000 that was rolled in to your new loan amount when you refinance. So with that out of the equation, your first 5 years, you're ahead of almost $15,347. In 10 years, $37,000. And over the life of that loan, which odds are, if this is your first home or even your second, it's not going to be your forever home. But if, let's say, you did and you never refinanced again, you'd still be ahead $127,000 and some change over the 30-year term of that mortgage. So last but not least, the property taxes reassess on the sale price. So if you buy that home at 550 versus 575, you're going to have lower taxes. So buying at the lower property price today, you're going to save 18,000 alone in property taxes over 30 years, 9,000 in 15 years. So in this scenario, you'd save $600 a year, $50 a month, which is not a ton, but it does add up. So you'd be saving $600 a year. So I hope this helps to unpack it. I hate that term, date the rate, marry the house. And I've never seen anybody put it on paper like this. So I hope this helps unpack exactly what we're talking about when we do tell you buy now, because when rates come down, you're going to be up against a whole myriad of competition. So if you have any questions on this, please never hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always happy to answer any question, big or small.